If you find yourself in trouble, count on me, my friend. I'll get right up in trouble's face. You won't see him again. I've got the backbone, American. I've got the heart, American. I've got the will, American. Will you stand up, don't sit down. Stand up, don't back down. Stand up, shout it out. Stand up, let's make it loud. American, American.
Welcome to another exciting show with Southern Sense on Blog Talk Radio. So turn up the volume and enter our chat room or grab your phones. Call in and join the conversation. Help us to restore the republic to this country and inspire the majority to be silent no longer.
Well, look me straight in the eye. Tell me what you see. I'll tell the truth every time. Yes, you can count on me. I've got the backbone, American. I've got the heart, American. I've got the will, American. Will you stand up, don't sit down. Stand up, don't back down. Stand up and shout it out. Stand up, let's make it loud. American, 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 American.
Jingle bells, Santa smells 50 miles away. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong show. Welcome to Southern Sense here on Blog Talk Radio, High Plains Talk Radio, SHR Media, Kinetic Hi-Fi, the Fix FM out of Charleston, South Carolina. Oh, geez, just go to my website, which is Southern Sense, the name of the show with a hyphen in the middle, southern-sense.com. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the radio chick, Annie, along with my debonair and sophisticated and sometimes absent co-host, Curtis C.S. Bennett.
How you doing, Annie?
I think I've lost my mind. I absolutely have definitely lost my mind. I want to welcome everyone that's up in the chat room. We've got a chat room open here on Blog Talk Radio and SHR Media, so whichever way you're listening in, you can join in the chat. Curtis, I can't believe it's the end of the year and Christmas is just this Friday. Unbelievable. Where has the year gone?
I can't believe it either, and it's warm where I'm at, even though it's overcast, sky and looks wintry. It's like about 70-something degrees here.
It's about the same here.
Not exactly the winter that I'm used to growing up with.
No more shoveling snow. Yay! Well, we got ourselves a really great show going on today. We've got 3 different guests coming in. We're going to start off the show with my friend Van Hip. He's got his book out, The New Terrorism, and he also is the CEO and founder of AmericanDefense.net. And we're going to follow by your friend and ours, Nigel Innes. He's going to be in a meeting, so he will be late, so you're going to have to bear with us until he can join us. And then we're going to close off the last few minutes of the show with Dave Bray of Madison Rising and start the Christmas season. Well, the Christmas season's already started. We're just going to kick it off on our show here. That said, let me see where the heck I am here. All right. Everyone knows that we start each and every show with a dedication to a fallen hero. And this month was the 74th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, which opened us into World War II. And I found this small article in the newspaper that came out earlier this month. And I thought it was interesting, and the show dedication will go out to this seaman. The show is being dedicated, as I pull up my notes here, to Navy sailor Leonard Franklin Tomlinson. He was killed in action July 6, 1943, with the sinking of the USS Helena, which sails out of Montana. And if I can find my Navy mix, and here we go. This is from Buzzblog and the Atlantic Journal. And let me lower that a little bit. That's a little bit too loud. Come on. There we go. This is dated December 7th. Leonard Franklin Tomlinson lived and served in an age before Instagram, and the image he left behind is less ephemeral and certainly less meaningless than the slew of selfies we all serve up today. His story is timeless. Today's a good day to tell it. Right after high school, the Adel, Georgia native signed up with the U.S. Navy. He hopped aboard the USS Helena, known as the fighting ship that went in harm's way. He was Mama's brother, the only boy among 5 sisters, said his niece Kay Powell, who was the AJC's longtime obituary editor before she retired a few years ago. His parents were Joseph Patrick and Abby Hill Tomlinson of Adel. His daddy was a lawyer. Uncle Frank regularly sent money home to his mama, my grandmother. Frank was a gifted artist, and when he wasn't attending to duties aboard Helena, he found time to ply his trade in the one onion skin thin piece of paper at a time. His shipmates paid him to create personal cards for their mamas, wives, and sweethearts, Powell said. His ship survived the Pearl Harbor attack, and Frank sent this image home to his mother. And if you look at our show page, the video, you'll see the sketch. The sketch is of the attack on Pearl Harbor. The USS Helena, a CL-50, was a St. Louis-class light cruiser of the United States Navy, completed shortly before World War II. She was damaged in the attack on Pearl Harbor and participated in several battles in the Pacific War. Those battles were the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941, Guadalcanal Campaign, 1942, Battle of Cape Esperanza, October 1942, the Naval Battle of Guadalcanal in November 1942, and in the Battle of Kula Gulf, July 1943. The Battle of Kula Gulf in July of 1943 was a shore bombardment of New Georgia. After overhaul in Sydney, Australia, she was back at Espiritu Santo in March to participate in the bombardments of New Georgia, soon to be invaded. Their first goal in New Georgia proper was Rice Anchorage. In the force escorting the transports carrying the initial landing parties, Helena moved into Kula Gulf just before midnight on July 4th, and shortly after midnight on the 5th, her big guns opened up on her last shore bombardment. The landing of troops was completed successfully by dawn, but in the afternoon of July 5, word came out that Tokyo Express was ready to roar down once more and escort the group turned north to meet it. By midnight on July 5th, Helena's group was off the northwest corner of New Georgia. 3 cruisers and 4 destroyers composed the group. Racing down to face them were 3 groups of Japanese destroyers, a total of 10 enemy ships. 4 of them peeled off to accomplish the mission of landing troops. By 1:57 a.m., the Battle of Kula Gulf had begun. Helena began blasting away with fire so rapid and intense that the Japanese later announced in all solemnity that she must have been armed with 6-inch machine guns. The gunners fired 2,000 6-inch round shells and 400 smaller rounds during the battle. Ironically, Helena made a perfect target when lit by the flashes of her own guns, which was compounded by the fact that Helena fired all of her flashless powder in the preceding bombardments and was left with standard smokeless powder, which produced immense flames. Helena history closes with the most incredible story of what happened to her men in the hours and days that followed. Within 30 minutes, 2 destroyers, Nicholas and Radford, were picking up survivors of the Helena, while many of the cruiser's survivors were picked up before morning. Many were not saved until 11 days later. 10 days later, surface vessels were chosen for the final rescue. Again, Nicholas and Radford, augmented by Jenkins and O'Banion, set off on July 15th to sail further up the slot than ever before, screening the movements of 2 destroyer transports and 4 other destroyers. During the night of July 16th, the rescue force brought out the 165 Helena men, along with the 16 Chinese who had been hiding on the island. Of Helena's nearly 900 men, 168 perished. Later, during the investigation of the sinking, the officer and crew of Helena were commended for their actions. Any who survived the torpedo attack that day on July 6th jumped into the shark-infested waters filled with diesel fuel, debris, bodies, and body parts, Powell said. Like any sailor whose body could not be found, Uncle Frank was declared missing in action. Claimed by the sea, Frank never returned to Adele, but his sketch of Pearl Harbor survived, and on December 7th, the day which lives in infamy, the niece who was born after he died takes it out and remembers. Today's show is dedicated to these brave men and to Seaman Tomlinson. They fought a war that I wonder if we can still fight today. And to them, we dedicate the song, My Name is America, by Todd Allen Harrington. We dedicate it to all the men and women who have served, are serving, and will serve. And we dedicate it to our first responders. God bless them both.
Born in the grip of oppression, I fought for my liberty. I paid with the blood of my people. Freedom has never been free. Now my door's always open to dreamers and friends. When I'm attacked, I protect and defend, because my name is America. I stand proud and free. My name is America. Don't tread on me. I cannot be broken. I cannot be shamed. If you hurt me, I'll get stronger, and I'll rise up from the flames, and I'll always stand proud and free. I'm America, don't tread on me. America is my name. My strength was not taken from others. Others gave it to me. They believe in the virtues I stand for, my respect for humanity. Now I'm challenged by tyrants who envy my power, but their vicious deeds become my finest hour, because my name is America. I stand proud and free. My name is America. Don't tread on me. I cannot be broken. I cannot be shamed. If you hurt me, I'll get stronger, and I'll rise up
America. And you can still download it for free if you go to ToddAllenShow.com. Check it out. You're here listening to Southern Sense here on Blog Talk Radio, formerly Pundit Press, now High Plains Talk Radio, SHR Media, Kinetic Hi-Fi, The Fix, FM out of Charleston, South Carolina. Heck, just like I said before, just go to my webpage, which is the name of the show, Southern Sense, put a dash in the middle, southern-sense.com. Check it out. And we're still sitting, Curtis, at number 16 out of the top 100 conservative shows on TopTalkRadio.com. For those who have just tuned in, you're here listening to me, the radio chick, here on Southern Sense, along with my co-host, Curtis C.S. Bennett. And we've got ourselves a rocking good show, a great lineup of guests. And it's our last show before Christmas, so let's rock and roll and bring along my friend Van Hipp. Good afternoon, Van.
Annie, great to be with you, and you and Curtis, Merry Christmas, and again, thanks for having me.
Yeah, are you heading down this way for Christmas with your family?
Absolutely. I'm actually in Florida right now, but going to the Boca Raton Bowl tonight, but after that, going back to D.C. to a few things, and have Christmas there. The day after, we'll be back home in South Carolina. Be back home for a few weeks, and looking forward to it.
Well, if you do head down this way, make sure you give me a shout and we'll have a cocktail together.
Absolutely.
And I got a couple of great places for you to check out. You are the author of the book, The New Terrorism, How to Fight It and Defeat It. Van, what is going on in this world today? With everything that's going on, San Bernardino, Paris, it's crazy.
It is, Annie, and unfortunately they're here on American soil, and it did not have to be this way. You know, after Obama had his big speech a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday night to try to allay the concerns and fears of the American people, all he did was make it worse. You know, the people get it. They know that the fight against radical Islam is really World War III. It's the challenge of our time. But they know we can defeat it if we have a commander-in-chief who understands the threat for what it is. And the threat is not global warming. It's radical Islam.
People are finally just starting to realize that Islam is not a really true religion of peace. It's not even a religion. It's a geopolitical organization.
Well, it really is, particularly the ones that we're doing. I will say this, though. There are some, like King Abdullah of Jordan. I've known him for a long time, back to when he commanded their special forces. He's a good guy. But he has said it is World War III. He has said that we, in the Arab world, we've got to clean up our act first, and we've got to deal with this. So, and the guy is speaking much, much tougher than our own president, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, there are people that do practice a form of Islam where they ignore large portions of the Quran and large portions to mount radical jihad. And to the radical Islamists, I'm going to call them, they are known as apostates. And you do have a growing movement, especially with someone like Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, trying to modify, not reform, but modify the religion by removing the violent parts of it and bringing it around into a religion of peace. But even that makes him apostate, and in eyes of many of the Islamic world, an infidel himself.
Oh, it does. And, you know, and I know Dr. Jasser is a good guy. You know, he actually served on active duty in the U.S. Navy. He is an American patriot. He loves America. And we were actually on a panel together at CPAC last year. So I have a lot of respect for him. So we need more Dr. Jassers out there. There's also this reform movement and headed up by a lady who is Arabic, and she's actually from Canada. But again, the bad guys are out to get her too. They're saying a lot of the same thing. But I mean, look, they're here now on American soil, and this cancer is spreading. It did not have to be this way. We had 90% of ISIS's predecessor organization completely wiped out, and our president did not listen to the military experts back in 2010. Now he's got a cancer that is spreading, and let's face it, Annie, whoever we elect as president, come January of 2017, is going to face the biggest foreign policy national security mess the U.S. president has ever faced.
Now, that's the truth. You know, when you look at what happened in San Bernardino, this was preventable. And everyone said, oh, she had the background checks. if she had such a wonderful background check, why didn't they check out the address she put down on the application? That is step number one. But the problem that we have is the people doing the background checks are native to that country. They're not American citizens there, posted over there. They're not people trained by the FBI or the CIA. They are locals that have been hired to staff the embassies to do jobs that, we don't want to send our people over to do. So, of course, it's like, hey, oh, yeah, you're my second cousin, no problem. I'll just pass you through. Oh, you're handing me a $500 bribe? No problem. I'll pass you through. The corruption.
That's a very good point. Yep.
Go ahead.
Man.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
We just had 6 soldiers killed the other day, I believe yesterday, and I really think they probably died because of the rules of engagements over there favor the enemy, and it puts our people in a state of uncertainty because of potential lawsuits or even being court-martialed. What do you think about that?
Well, both to you and to Annie, you're exactly right. The rules of engagement are a joke, and look, I'm not surprised that these things are happening. I mean, we've kind of brought this on ourselves with this culture of political correctness. Don't forget the person down the street in San Bernardino saw all kinds of suspicious activity, was afraid to do anything because they didn't want to be accused of being politically incorrect. And you're right, Annie, about the what we're doing with these people potentially coming into America. Look, if there's no right for everybody in the world to come to America, it is a privilege. And if you come to America, you need to live under and abide by American law, Sharia law. And I got to tell you, I was flabbergasted, but not surprised to find out that when Tashfeen Malik came to America, they did not even look at her social media activity. That is a no-brainer. If they're coming to this country, they should be looking at everyone's social media activity, particularly when they're coming from a country that has helped to finance terrorism.
Yeah, the screw-ups in this were just so phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. You go for an employment, for a job interview, and they're going to look at your social media activity. The IRS is denying conservative groups their 501c3 applications, but they'll go through our social media to see who we're talking to. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. The rights of American citizens are violated left and right, but we can't. They're not even on American soil, so they don't even have American rights. But we don't want to hurt their feelings, and we have to be politically correct. And it's not nice for us to look too deeply into their backgrounds. You kidding me?
Well, Annie, you sound like the Attorney General of the United States.
Don't insult me.
And then if you say anything bad about these people, she's threatened to prosecute you. That's why I love our old friend George Pataki, the old governor of New York, who led on 9/11. He said, "Go ahead and prosecute me. Go ahead." And then she backed down when George Pataki said that. But watching a Saturday Night Live skit, if it weren't so sad, I mean, it's almost comical. But that's what we're dealing with right now, and it's a sad day in America, and a very sad commentary. But I got to tell you, I came up with an idea. When we look at what the radical Islamists are doing on social media to kick our rear end, I said it's time for us to turn the tables and kick their rear ends on social media. How do we do it? I wrote a piece for Newsmax last week. It was on Gretchen Carlson the week before on Fox talking about this. I believe it's time for a situational awareness hotline, completely separate from 911. So when I see something suspicious on social media, Twitter, Facebook, or in my neighborhood, or at the mall, I could text it in real time to the National Counterterrorism, the National Counterterrorism Center, so they can compare it to the bad news characters they have in their database, so we can hopefully not only potentially prevent and thwart a terrorist attack, but even during a terrorist attack, be able to improve situational awareness for first responders so they can better respond. We need that kind of capability to harness the power of social media, radical Islam.
That was in Newsmax or Newsweek?
Newsmax.
Newsmax. I'm going to look for that.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
It's a no-brainer. It's common sense. And I tell you, Annie, how I got the idea. A friend of a friend's daughter was on that island in Norway 2 years ago when Anders Breivik killed those 68 children, and she was in a bush hiding from this guy, and she could literally hear him breathing. That's how close she was. But thank God she was able to send out a tweet that told the local people where those kids were at the island's location, and the people were able to get there before local law enforcement and save the lives of the remaining kids. And I thought to myself, how do we harness this power of social media? And that's how I came up with the idea.
Yeah, I mean, if we can even just do a screen catch, even if the site's taken down, if you do a screen catch, you can trace a lot of this information back. I know social media sites go up and down constantly, but still, you can track it. Even a lot of these social media sites have GPS coordinates on them. That's how they track some of the people from the Black Lives Matter. They found out that, hey, they're in Ferguson. The same person just showed up in Los Angeles. Same person is now, a couple of days later, in New York. They were able to track them because of the GPS coordinates.
Yes, that's a very good point. And the technology's there. And I've said this before, and you know it. As the technology increases, our government is so flat-footed, and that's the problem. As the technology increases, the threats are increasing exponentially because our government doesn't really have a clue on how to respond.
Yeah, that is true. And, Carly Fiorina, it was correct. The government is 10 years behind in technology easily. And all they have to do is reach out to the businesses out there and say, right, fine, you've got the technology to do this. Help us form a partnership so that we can rely on your newest technology and get this information and get the bad guys. She has that 100% correct.
Yeah, she is, and you are too, Annie. And I actually mentioned this in my book, The New Terrorism Out of Pocket. In the last chapter, I talk about how so much of the ingenuity and the innovativeness is with small business, and we need to be better engaged and reach out to small business to capture the innovative technologies we need. And I tell the story of how the Joint Improvised Explosive Defeat Organization, which looks for ways to defeat IEDs, it's at DOD, they're always having a conference, and you must have a secret clearance to go to it. Well, guess what? The small businesses in America, so many don't have a secret clearance to get in the front door. Well, they've got the technology we need to defeat radical Islam. Again, it's common sense. Reach out to small business, engage them, and let's work with the small business innovators in America to get the technology we need to fight radical Islam.
Well, I think one of the problems we're having right now is the fact that this president is more focused on domestic issues, and really, when he's focused on that, it's not to the benefit of Americans, more so than he is focused on foreign, policy and foreign events. I really don't think I think he sees foreign things as kind of like a distraction for his domestic agenda, and I think that's one of the reasons why we don't see a greater involvement of this president in these affairs, outside the fact that I think he's sympathetic to nations that are guided by Islam, that faith.
Yep. Curtis, that's a very good point. The sad thing is this president always go back to read history and understand that the reason the states and the founding fathers came together in the first place was to provide for the common defense of the American people. Everything else is secondary. It's about, the federal government is about, and being president of the United States is about keeping America safe so that we can remain free. Everything else is secondary. But I agree with you 100%.
Well, I think now we have to just make everyone else in the nation realize radical Islam is a domestic issue today. And when you're looking at what happened not only in San Bernardino, but you look at the attempts to put Sharia law into effect here in the United States, the Sharia court that was attempted to be in Texas recently that thankfully has been closed. The private enclaves that we now have of Islamics. Dearbornistan is a perfect example. We've got another enclave just outside of Somerville here in South Carolina. There's another one in North Carolina. There's one upstate New York. And we have the FBI director saying that we have radical Islam and reports of attempts at terrorism in all 50 states. Now, you've got the director of the FBI saying it. Why doesn't our own president realize radical Islam is not a foreign issue anymore? It is a domestic issue, and it must be faced.
Well, it is. And look at San Bernardino. Look at Chattanooga. And it's here on American soil. And again, this president won't utter that phrase, radical Islam, or radical Islamic terrorism. And that, I believe, is why the American people are so really frightened today. They know this is World War III. They know that the fight against radical Islam is the challenge of our time. But they also know that we, as Americans, even though our military has been decimated, we can defeat radical Islam. We've got to be smart about it. After we defeat it militarily, we've got to have the right systems in place so that it doesn't reconstitute itself. But the reason the people are concerned and scared, they understand we have to have a commander-in-chief who understands the threat and will at least acknowledge the threat for what it is. When they see him going on TV and he won't even utter the phrase radical Islam or radical Islamic terrorism, that's why two-thirds of the American people right now don't believe that this president has a clue what he's doing in terms of fighting this fight.
No, he doesn't. And what is worse is we've got the left that is pandering to him and pulling out the PC police every place we go. And recently we had this school in Virginia that was teaching them, quote, calligraphy. And, each language has its form of calligraphy, but Arabic calligraphy, and having them learn how to write the Shahada. The Shahada is the phrase that one person will utter in order to convert into Islam. So the entire school is converting all of the students into good Muslims. No wonder why the parents were in such an uproar.
Yeah. So it's nuts, and it's here. It's on our soil. It didn't have to be here. We had most of it wiped out. The FBI director before, James Comey, Robert Mueller, even testified to Congress a few years ago that we had captured thousands and thousands and thousands of illegal aliens trying to come to this country illegally over our border from countries other than Mexico, including Somalia, Yemen, Pakistan, Syria, Iran, you name it. And my question is, where are the ones that we didn't catch? Where are they? What are they doing in America? I think we know the answer to that. They're here. And again, but and I don't know if you saw this. Prince Mohammed, the Minister of Defense of Saudi Arabia last week, talked about putting together a moderate Arab Muslim force to go up to ISIS or radical Islam. And he talked about radical Islam, and he talked about it being a disease that has affected the Islamic world, and the Islamic world needs to, the Muslim world needs to clean it up, and all. And he didn't talk about global warming. He didn't talk about the need for more gun control. He talked about radical Islamic terrorism. I tell you, this Arab prince may be over something, Annie. I think he just may be over something.
You think? You think? And, oh, geez, Hillary Clinton once again blames the cause of ISIS on a video. On a video that Donald Trump wasn't even in.
But she tells her family when Benghazi occurred, and she tells the Egyptian government it was something else. It was radical Islam, but she won't tell that to the American people. So, it's totally nuts.
I love it. Benghazi is blamed on a video. The rise of radical Islam and ISIS is blamed on Donald Trump and a video. So there's something about videos, Got to check to see what her membership to Blockbuster says.
That's right. Well, listen, I'm about to head on. I want to thank you all both for having me, and I hope you families have a wonderful and a Merry Christmas.
The same to you. Travel very safely, and I'm serious. You get down here, give me a call, and we'll have a couple of cocktails together.
I look forward to it. Y'all take care.
You too. All right, take care. All right, Van Hip.
Bye-bye.
Check out his website. There's a link to it on the show page here, vanhip.com. Check out his book. And the book is The New Terrorism. Let me make sure I get this right. The New Terrorism: How to Fight and Defeat. You can get it up on Amazon or go to his website, vanhip.com. Check it out. A lot of you that are listening to the podcast just a little bit later on, just click on, I believe, where is it? Oh, I have it right there in the show description. Just click on the link and it'll take you straight over to it. I love that man. I love that man. Pure, great Southern gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of meeting him thanks to a friend of mine who told me about his book, and he was downtown here signing it, and his family is from the area. And I raced down there, and I sat down. He was just getting ready to close up his book signing, and he and I just sat there talking for about 45 minutes. What a pleasant man to meet and know. If anyone wants to call in until we get Nigel Innes to call in, because, as I said, he's in a meeting, so as soon as he's out of the meeting, he will call into the show, and we're going to have him on for a good long while. But if you want to join, make some comments or whatever, just dial in 917-889-3675, and we'll be happy to bring you on. You know, when I read about this thing, this school district in Augusta, Virginia, and having them learn to write the Shahada and using the excuse of penmanship to do this, you know, of all phrases, and of all languages to choose, why Arabic? If it's not indoctrination, then I don't know what excuse there is. And the parents, obviously, everyone in Augusta County went absolutely berserk, and they had to close the school down, and rightfully so. This teacher that chose this particular topic, this particular lesson plan, should be fired, honestly.
Well, she never heard of the preamble, We the People, so she went to the thing that was closest to her heart.
And Kel is asking if I see a phone number in the studio, and no, Kel, I do not. So try hanging up and dialing back in. And Kel, always happy to have you. And maybe you can talk to your boyfriend later on towards the end of the show. I got a teaser. Anyway, but you know, this is crazy. But this is part of Common Core. And unless we're looking to see what our school district is doing, you know, we're going to be completely ignorant. And this is what our tax dollars are going for. Because, guys, you're paying your school taxes, and you're paying for them to teach this PC crap. I'll be honest with you. That's exactly what it is. It's PC crap.
Well, you know, Annie, I think it's, just like you said, it's part of an agenda. I mean, I was reading about a coach who voluntarily would go and pray before and after a game, and he did this on his own. And some of his the boys on his team would voluntarily come and say a prayer with him. You know, he didn't encourage it or anything. Yet this coach got suspended, you know, for doing this. And he said, okay, well, what I'll do, I'll just tell the boys that, you know, I'm going to do this on my own. And that they want to do it somewhere else. And he did it. And they still told him, you know, they didn't want him to do that publicly. So, yet, you look at the other end of the spectrum and you see what you're talking about inside the classroom, you know, Islam slowly creeping in to the studies and you know, lesson plans. So
yeah. The good thing is,
up and down here.
Yeah, the good thing is that the Liberty Council has joined with him in countersuing the school. He wants his job back, and I think I do know who this is. Is this Cal, Sweet Cal?
No, this is Debbie, Kipinani. I just
Debbie.
wanted to get on and wish everyone a most wonderful, Merry Christmas and a great New Year. That's all I wanted to say.
Debbie, thank you so much. What are you doing for Christmas?
I am having Christmas at my house just like we do every year because I have the bigger home, you know, more space, and everybody will be bringing something so I don't have to do all the cooking. So that's it's just a cleaning up, you know, before and after. That's you know what I mean. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's what. Yeah. Christmas is our home.
Well, I wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. For people that love to listen to the show, I want to let you know this is our last live broadcast before the holidays. We will not be on air next Friday and the following Tuesday or the following Friday. We will be back January 5th. I will have pre-recorded shows up there. As a matter of fact, I'm putting together a show for Christmas Day, which I normally would be broadcasting on, and it's going to be oddball Christmas music, stuff that you normally don't hear. So if you want to listen to Christmas music and you don't want the same old tripe, check out the show, check out the podcast, and play it while you're eating dinner and have some fun with it. I hope everyone does that. Right, Curtis?
I will.
Again, I want to say hi to everyone. I'm going to leave your mic open, Deb, if you want to participate some more, okay?
Okay. Thank you. I'll mute myself just in case I make any noise, though.
Okay. I want to say hi to everyone that's up in the chat room. I see we got Vito Esposito, who's got his show, I believe, Thursdays. We've got you, Debbie. We've got Cal, whose show was on yesterday. She also does EDL. We've got my nephew, LSU Jeff, and Sasquatch, and my secret stalker also. And I won't tell who that is.
So, Annie, what do you think of this president up to date? I think he spent $70 million on vacations.
They're behaving like king and queen. They're playing it like a royal couple. And we thought the Clintons were bad with their vacations and stuff, but I've never seen an executive officer in the seat of the president abuse the power of the purse, the power of the pen. I have never seen such abuse of power in any president. And I swear, when Jimmy Carter was president, I thought there would never, ever be one worse than Jimmy Carter. But unfortunately, it proved to be wrong. And this is exactly what I was afraid of. I mean, I say this all the time. When he was running for the first time, and he was running in the primary against Hillary Clinton, and Sean Hannity on XM Radio would be doing the Stop Hillary Express, I would literally be screaming at the radio, "You idiot, you have no idea what you're putting the country in for." I mean, at that point in time, we had enough public pressure to at least control her actions should she had been the nominee. We would be able to, through political pressure and public pressure, be able to control her actions. This man is sociopathic. He has no remorse. It doesn't matter what the public is outcrying for. It doesn't matter what the laws are. He just gallantly violates every single one. And there's no other way to describe him as but a sociopath. All right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think he's becoming what he once claimed to despise in Queen Elizabeth and that group. He being raised to hate societies, Western societies like Great Britain and other Western countries, because they had colonies and whatnot. Well, guess what? Now he's in charge. He's living large.
Well, if anyone has ever watched Dinesh D'Souza's 2 films dealing with Obama, he talks about his anti-colonialism, especially his anti-colonialism taught to him through his father, and anti-colonialism taught him through his mentors. And he's definitely anti-colonial, and he looks at the United States as being one of the colonial powers, which is the furthest from the truth, because the United States did not colonize anywhere. We had territories that asked to join, but we colonized. I mean, Hawaii became a state because they voted to become a state. Puerto Rico has taken several votes as to whether or not they would go for statehood. Each time they decided they get more money from us as a territory. But right now they're going broke because they can't even, handle the money that we do give them. So, of course, our dear Congress in this new omnibus bill is bailing out Puerto Rico. My mother lives in a territory. She lives in the Virgin Islands. And every time they vote, they say, no, we have more benefits as a territory than if we would as a state. It's a choice. We have not colonized, so we're not a colonial power. We're not an imperial power. We are a republic, a representative republic. And every time someone says we're a democracy, no. We are a democratic republic only because we vote. we go by the rule of law. But what is happening is the rule of law is no longer being followed by the left. The blatant violation of the rule of law is astounding, and our Congress does absolutely nothing. They are completely impotent. They were impotent under Boehner, and they are now once again impotent under Ryan. And I don't know if anyone knows, there is a hashtag going around on Twitter, and I want everyone to make this viral. The hashtag is Ryan Rhino Resign. And I posted it at least once today, and every time I go up there, I'm trying to post so that we force Ryan to resign. If we could force Boehner out, let's force Ryan out. And let's go 2 for 2.
Send me that one, and I'll get that out on my Twitter account.
Well, I'm going to put it up right in the chat room right now so people can copy it. And if I can spell resign, again, Ryan Rhino Resign. And we're going to have to force it. Matter of fact, I'm going to be contacting my Congressman, Mark Sanford, because he was part of the Freedom Caucus that got Boehner to resign. And I'm going to ask him, are they making a move to force Ryan out? Because he did everything that we did not want him to do. The will of the people was.
Well, I believe Ryan, just like Obama, I believe they have their own agendas, and it's quite contrary to what we the people want. And all we want is a return to the basic principles of the Founding Fathers. And apparently these folks aren't satisfied with that. And I believe one of the reasons why our Congress is inept at times and anemic at other times is because I really believe people in some of these agencies have something hanging over their heads, and that whatever it is, it keeps them in line with the agenda.
That's the scary thought, and we know that Hillary Clinton has her hit teams. We know that, but this is, I think, Valerie Jarrett's sole purpose in the White House. She is the Black Widow and this is not a racial pun. I'm talking about the actual Black Widow spider whose bite can be very, very painful, and in some cases deadly. And she is sitting there as spider in the center of the web, just pulling all the strings. And Obama's her puppet, and she's the one that's got all the information. Ask why whenever there's a cabinet meeting, she's sitting in on it. Ask why when there's a military tactical meeting, she's sitting in on it. What are her qualifications? She was a real estate attorney. What is her qualifications to hold a place of such power in the White House? What is there a political science degree that I don't know about? Is there something there in a background that makes her uniquely qualified? Did she serve in the military? Does she have terrorism or intelligence training? Just what is it that qualifies her for this position?
Former First Lady.
But what qualified her for this job? And we don't even know what her job title is. She's got an office in the White House. But what does she do? Does anyone know?
Okay.
She's in a really huge position of power, a cabinet-level position, and yet there was no advice and consent through the Senate for her job.
Well, it's like all of these czars that Obama put in place. They weren't brought before the Senate or anything and approved.
Well, Vito makes a point in the chat room, which is what I was going to say next. So Vito and I, we think alike a lot. Hey, Paisano, we think the same, huh? That she is an Iranian Muslim. She was born in Iran. She has family and business ties in Iran. So you wonder why that Iranian nuclear agreement was so wonderful for Iran? Follow the money, folks. Follow the money. Follow the chain link from Valerie Jarrett back to Iran, and there are all your answers. That's your answer as why that Iranian deal was such a sweet deal for Iran. And it's because of her. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. We were talking about the PC police and the influence of Islam now in our society. There is a school district, and I'm looking to see a number just flashed up. No, it's not. Okay. folks, if you are listening in on the phone lines and you do want to join the conversation, please remember to press 1. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you're only listening and I won't bring you on. But if you want to join the conversation, please remember to press 1, and I will be very, very happy to bring you on. Here we go. It happens that this is from the Clash Daily, and the author was Wes Walker. And he writes, "Oh, those pesky lunar calendars. Having Islam's 354-day calendar must make it really hard to plan holidays. The timing shifts around, and you need an official spokesperson to announce the actual timing of special days. As it happens, one special day has recently been announced, and it's coming up fast. Maybe it snuck up on you. Did you know it was Muhammad's birthday, Milad? It will soon be celebrated according to official release by the UAE. It was announced all the way back on December 13th, because I guess calendars are hard. What day have they picked for the celebration? Well, guess what? It's December 24th. Yes, folks, Christmas Eve, because I guess calendars are hard. I admit it snuck up on me. I forgot all about it. Haven't picked up the party decorations or anything else. Are you ready for the festivities? How does one celebrate? I'm probably pronouncing this right. Probably Kel can pronounce it better than me. It's spelled Milaad, Milad, something like that. Is there a Hallmark card for such an occasion? A picture of, well, not a picture of that, obviously. Maybe it was lovely pictures of wildlife or camels or maybe a Danish cartoonist. Is there some equivalent to the night before Christmas that people read for the occasion? Something like by maybe Solomon Rashid, perhaps? This is crazy. The political correctness, and now the day before our celebration of the birth of our Savior Christ, they decide to celebrate the birth of Muhammad. That's political correctness, is that not? And Vito's reminding me, yes, John Kerry's son-in-law is also connected to Iran as well. And I know that Chelsea Clinton's husband has some connections too. I believe business connections through his oil business. It's a nasty, nasty, incestuous circle. You link the Obamas, the Clintons, the Kerrys, and the Bushes. And, it's all interrelated.
They're selling this country down the toilet for their own greed, It's like they say, power corrupts, and
absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
Power corrupts, absolutely, and that's what we're seeing, what we're witnessing.
Yeah. Now, this a friend of mine sent, and I put it aside because it is the final broadcast before Christmas, and he sent it out with a huge, huge headline: "Merry Christmas." He said, maybe not a happy holiday, he wrote. And this is how it goes. "'Twas 1 month before Christmas when all through our land not a Christian was praying nor taking a stand. While the PC police had taken away the reason for Christmas, no one could say. The children were told by their schools not to sing about shepherds and wise men and angels and things. It might hurt people's feelings, the teachers would say. December 25th is just a holiday. Yet the shoppers were ready with cash, checks, and credit, pushing folks down the floor just to get it. CDs from Madonna and Xbox and iPod. Something was changing, something quite odd. Retailers promoted Ramadan and Kwanzaa in hopes to sell books by Franken and Fonda. At Target, they're hanging their trees upside down. At Lowe's, the word Christmas was nowhere to be found. At Kmart and Staples and Penny's and Sears, you won't hear the word Christmas. It won't touch your ears. Inclusive, sensitive, diversity are words that were used to intimidate me. Now Daschle, now Darden, now Schaffner, Wolf Blitzen, on Boxer, on Rather, on Kerry, on Clinton. At the top of the Senate there rose such a clatter to eliminate Jesus in all public matter. And we spoke not a word as they took away our faith, forbidden to speak of salvation and grace. The true gift of Christmas was exchanged and discarded. The reason for the season stopped before it started. So as you celebrate winter break under your dream tree, sip in your Starbucks, listen to me. Choose your words carefully, choose what you say. Shout Merry Christmas, not Happy Holiday. Not awesome? Not awesome. And I'm making a point of everyone I say to. I say, Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. It's a Judeo-Christian nation we live in. It is not a Muslim nation. It is not a Hindu nation. It is based upon Judeo-Christian beliefs and laws. And we have to bring everyone back to that. Tell the PC police to shut the blank up. That's
those on the left, especially those in the gay community and women, will be affected the most under Sharia law. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't have no clue what's coming if this country ever goes to that.
And this is what really gets me. Because of the PC police, we have had assaults on, was it a Hobby? What was that hobby store?
Hobby Lobby.
A Hobby Lobby, all right. You also had the attacks on Chick-fil-A. These two companies fought back. They fought back and said, I'm going to stand for my religious freedom, my religious rights under the First Amendment. But you have, the bakeries that are being attacked, the churches that are being attacked, the religious other institutions that are being attacked because they're not pandering to the LGBT community. And I know there's a whole other alphabet soup they now add to the end of it, and I'm not going to give them the courtesy of even trying to remember what the rest of those letters are. It's the gay community, the sexual deviant community, should I say. But, they attack the bakeries. They attack these people that have opened their private homes to weddings. Fortunately, there's no one with the legal power that will stand behind them. Now, we do have this one football coach that does have the Liberty Counsel that's stepping up to defend them. You do see it sporadically, but we've got to take the argument back. We have to say, all right, fine, for every single time you sue us, we're going to countersue for violating our First Amendment rights. And every single time, if we have to, we will take you all the way up to the Supreme Court. We've got to have the courage to fight back. Enough of it. Why don't one of us walk into a Muslim bakery and ask them to create a cake to celebrate a gay marriage? And then when they turn around and deny us, then let's go sue them. But you don't see the LGBT community going after them. You don't see them going after the Muslims, but they'll go after the Christians and the Jews because they know we're easy targets and will back down. Enough. Stop backing down. You were born with only two cheeks on your face. And once both of them get slapped, before that third slap comes around, take a stand and defend your faith. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about standing up for your rights. Defend your faith. Don't be afraid to say, I believe. I mean, what is wrong with saying that you're a Christian or you're a Jew? What is wrong with that? What is wrong with walking around with the crucifix around your neck or the Star of David? Proclaim your faith. Shout it from the highest mountain. Don't be afraid. For a long time, I was one of those people that just hid. It's like, all right, it's not polite to talk about, politics or religion in public company. Excuse me, that's what the First Amendment is for. So you can talk about politics and religion in public. I mean, the political correctness, we've got to fight it and defeat it. Enough of it, guys. Don't be afraid. That's my rant.
I was recently looking at a quote that had a picture of a bad-looking motorcyclist, and the quote had something. It went to something this effect that PETA, the animal rights group, they have a good reason for going after the fur business and not motorcyclists, motorcycle gang members who wear leather. And that's because one is more intimidating than the others. And that's what we have to overcome, this notion that, we can't fight back, we can't be intimidating or anything, because they'll continue to come after us if we, lie down and just give up the ghost, But if we stand our ground and we, act like we got some cojones, they'll back away, I believe.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny because I had gotten this fake fur coat. It looks like a silver fox fur coat. and I wore it to church one day. And the looks I got from a couple of women, I'm like, no, this is not real. It happens to be fake. I can't afford, a real one anymore, even though I did at one point have one. And they're kind of like, oh, like you're doing something wrong. But this past weekend, I wore my leather coat to church, and not one person gave me a dirty look. So if they think it's fur, you're right. They're going to give you a dirty look. But if it's leather, it's like, oh, that's okay. It doesn't make any sense. But then again, someone came at me one time a number of years ago. I was doing Christmas shopping in one of my local places, and yes, it's a liquor store. And I happened to have been wearing the real Silver Fox that day, and a woman started berating me. And I looked down to see what she had on her feet, and she was wearing leather shoes. And I looked down and I said, are they 100% leather, or is it just the top of the shoe and the sole is not, it's fake? You never saw someone scramble out the door so fast.
Well, I believe its reputation precedes itself. I mean, if they go after leather, then they're going to have to end up going after motorcycle gang members. And I don't think they want to do that.
No. I don't think so.
I don't think they want to thank those guys.
Well, actually, you also have to think about the Patriot Riders, the veterans that have the motorcycles that show up at the funerals of our military men and women. Can you imagine having them come after you? These are battle-hardened veterans. I mean, the motorcycle gangs are one thing, but when you have motorcycle battle-hardened veterans and you coming after them for their jackets that have all the emblems of the units they served with and everything else and memories of the men and women that they've seen die in the line of duty in combat. Oh no, you don't want to see that. Oh, man. I'm going to remind people we're still waiting for Niger Innes to call in. He was in a meeting with some of his donors, so I guess he's got to pander to them, and hopefully we'll have him on before the end of the show. I have Dave Bray, who will be calling in the last few minutes of the show, and maybe I can get him to call in a little bit earlier. But in the interim, I did come across a song. Now, I wonder where the heck I put it. Just bear with me for a second. So, Curtis, talk while I'm looking for this.
All right. Well, I was going to say that this nation has faced adversity numerous times in the past, and we've overcome it. We had a revolution and fought one of the greatest nations that ever lived and conducted affairs on this planet, and that was Great Britain. And then, of course, we fought one another in the Civil War, and we lost, I think, 620,000 people. And then there were the two world wars that we fought in, and then we had more domestic issues. I'd say like Great Depression we overcame, and we also had civil rights movement. And unfortunately, it's sad that today the very people who were helped most by the Republican Party, which is the black community, has now turned against it. And I think that in itself is shameful. But then again, they don't teach history like they used to. And now these people hate the very party that liberated their ancestors. So we got our work cut out for us. And I believe we can turn this around. We got president in office now who seems to want to fundamentally change the founding fathers thought was best for this country.
No, I do agree. I think we can change because we're finding more and more people are becoming angry, especially after this Ryan Omnibus bill passed. I mean, it sailed through the House, it sailed through the Senate, and it was on Obama's desk, I think in less than 48 hours. I've never seen that bill get passed as fast as that, with minimal amount of debate. And I know that my congressman was completely fuming over that because I read his email after that, and knowing him, I'm going, he had to sit down and really, really calm himself down before he wrote this, because I could feel the anger, even though he wrote it very politely and he was respectful. But I could just see his face. You know, and people, when they see this, and as I think it was Gulf that wrote in the chat room, or either that or Bigfoot wrote, gentlemen, I forget which one, but you really don't see any difference now between the two parties, Republican or Democrat. And because we have to take back our nation. We have to do it the grassroots way, from the bottom up. And we have to turn around and kick all these rhinos out one at a time. You start at your local council, you start at your school board, you work up to the state, then work into the federal, and it's not going to be something we can do in one election cycle. It's going to take maybe, I'm praying, no less than 10 years to do that. And we can take back our nation, I hope, and pray within 10 years. I'm hoping that I'll be alive to see it. I'm hoping that my stepson will be alive to see it. You know,
I'm optimistic.
I am optimistic, but what I'm also seeing, Curtis, is that we're getting more people coming out and saying, hey, wait a minute, I am a conservative, and I'm not liking what I see. You know, I'm seeing more and more from the black community coming forward and saying, wait a minute, something's not right here. We were sold a bill of goods, and I think I'm going to vote Republican, or I'm going to vote independent, or whatever you do, you know, vote these people out. And already I saw calls up on several social media, calls to make sure that Paul Ryan does not get reelected. Someone's got to run against that man, and someone's got to kick him out of as Speaker of the House. We've got to get him to resign. We've got to chase him out because he just violated everything we put him in there to do. And, you know, I've got to step back for a second, you know, because I'm going to feel my blood pressure really, really starting to go through the roof. I've got to calm down because we are here with the Christmas season, and the most important thing is we've got to remember what the season is for. It is a season to celebrate the birth of a man, of a God who became living man because he loved us so much. He became human and lived among us, and then gave his life to give us salvation, to show us a path and a way, to show us peace, to show us love. And we've got to take a step back and breathe and remember that this is what the season is for. And then take the teachings that Christ gave us, the teachings that are in the New Testament, and put them to work. And if we put them to work, you will find that those teachings very closely align, if not work hand in hand with conservative values. And then take those conservative values that he taught us and that helped found this nation and put them to work. And don't be afraid to use your voice. Whether you write an email or a letter or a postcard, or you pick up the phone and you make a phone call, whether it's to your newspaper, to your local TV or radio station, to your congressman, to your councilman, to the office of the White House. Not the office of the White House, to the office of the presidency. I don't care. Do something. Act. And that's one of the things that Christ was teaching us. You've got to act. You've got to show your faith. You've got to work on your faith, and you've got to prove your faith daily. So, you know, Judeo-Christian principles founded this nation, folks. Don't forget that. And with that said, I heard this song on Liz Loris's, it was Elizabeth Letchworth's show last night, and I thought it was so beautiful that I pulled it up, and I want to play this song. Let me make sure I got the right mouse control to the right computer. And this is Becky Kelly, Where's the Line to See Jesus? Sit back and enjoy.
Approaching, snow is starting to fall. Shoppers choosing their presents, people filling the mall. Children waiting for Santa with excitement and glee. Little boy tugged my sweater, looked up and asked me, where's the line to see Jesus? Is he here at the door? It's Christmas time and his birthday, and why don't we see more? As I stood
that so beautiful? Isn't that such a wonderful song? Curtis, unmute yourself.
I was trying, sometimes the technology just doesn't work at the touch of a finger or whatever. It was a beautiful song.
Yeah, and it says everything. Everyone's so busy rushing around thinking about, what they're buying and what gifts they want and what's on sale, the Black Friday, everything else. And they forget what the whole purpose of the season is. And it takes a small child to bring that back. And that is the innocence and beauty of it. Ah, man. Oh. Now that... go ahead.
Have social issues like we're dealing with, that kind of takes away from it. It's the mood of the country, I believe. It's just, I don't know, you can feel it. You can almost cut it with a knife.
Yeah, and it's there is a mood in the country, and I think people are starting to really get it. I think when they see the attacks on Christians, and they see these Islamic terrorist attacks like we've had in San Bernardino, we've had in Paris, we had with the Boston bomber, we had with the World Trade Center, and they're seeing that they're not going away. I think people are finally starting to get it, that, this PC correctness is not going to work. We have to call it out for what it is.
That is if we want to survive, because this is killing us, this PC thing. Just like I mentioned in the beginning about the soldiers that died yesterday. The thing is, we have a soldier that's rotting in prison somewhere because of the fact that a similar incident happened to him when he was over in Afghanistan. He was on patrol with a couple of other American soldiers, and motorcyclists, I think it was about two or three of them, came riding up towards them in a menacing way, and he shot and killed one of those guys. And do you know he's sitting in prison for that during wartime?
Mm.
So you have to wonder if those guys were thinking that yesterday when these motorcyclists were coming towards them. Should I shoot, or if I do shoot, do I end up in prison or court-martial or what? And it cost all 6 of them their lives.
That's unfortunate. And the rules of engagement imposed by this administration, the Barack Hussein Obama administration, is getting our men and women killed. That was a National Guard unit, those American soldiers. One of them was a New York City police officer, a detective. He worked the warrant squad. And I did not see the rest of the names because I guess they're still awaiting family notifications, but the names are starting to come out one by one. And, these soldiers died needlessly. We talk about it. When I do the dedication, I don't think we talk enough about what these men and women are going through. Our military is under such an assault from this administration, and no one is speaking up for these men and women. No one. The VA is under assault. I shouldn't say the VA. The veterans going to the VA are under assault. Our active military are under assault. Strong, powerful, conservative military leaders have been cashiered out of the service and replaced with weaker men and women. And the morale is absolutely in rock bottom.
Think about this for a minute. Try approaching a restricted base, say like Area 51. And those people have orders to shoot to kill. Now here we got soldiers in a war zone, and they have to hesitate and think about, defending themselves and preserving their lives. Or here in the United States, if you try to enter a facility like Area 51, they have orders to shoot to kill you. It's all backwards.
Yeah, it is. It is, as my friend Mike Cutler says, bass-ackwards. And I have to laugh, but Debbie's teasing me in the chat room that my senator dropped out of the presidential race. He actually suspended, as he calls it, suspended his campaign. So technically he's still a candidate, but he's suspended the campaign. And one of the reasons why he did that, and that's pretty sneaky, because he knows that the majority of Republican parties, county parties, have a rule in there that they cannot censure any person that's running a campaign. If they have a campaign going for an elected office, they will not censure. Once they're done campaigning and they're either in office or they're no longer actively an active candidate, then they can censure. So he did a move to prevent the rest of the GOP parties statewide from censoring him, because 9 county GOP, Republican GOP parties in South Carolina have already censured, but my county can't do it because he's campaigning. So it's a little tweak, but yeah, Deb, it was. I really cried my eyes out when I saw that he dropped out of the race. I have a mean laugh. Man, people are afraid to say that they're American. People are afraid to say that they're Christian. And it's funny. Our friend Mikkel Claire Nissan, who has the book out, Manipulalism, who is a frequent guest on our show, had posted up in Facebook a couple of days ago. And he said, a Danish friend has asked for my help to define the American dream, as well as the Great Gatsby. Would you care to help her? And he writes, here is my vision of the American dream, to live free from non-intrusive government, thus to endeavor for the highest possible life achievement while not intruding on other people's freedoms. But I wrote, and unfortunately the typesetting on this is so small, so if I flub, just bear with me. I wrote that the American dream is far from dead, because the person before me said the American dream is dead, and it's gone forever. And I said, no, it's far from dead. Only defeat is so proclaim it dead or mediocre. As long as it lives in one heart, it remains alive. It beats in millions of hearts here in America, and hearts also across the globe, hoping to live it themselves one day. The American dream is that of the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is the dream to try, knowing that you just might fail, but you have the ability to try and try again, fighting to freely succeed and to achieve that success, to keep the fruits of your labor, and to give of those fruits freely as you choose or not choose, to freely practice your faith or choose to reject faith as you see fit without interference from any government, to think, speak, write, and act freely. It is called the American dream because nothing is perfect. It is a dream we strive and fight for. There is no utopia on earth, yet we can hope, work, and dream to achieve the ideal that is uniquely American. It is also uniquely American that no matter who you are, where you are born, or your family tree that impedes your ability to succeed in America. It is only your own heart and courage or lack of that impel or impede you. The dream of why is my phone ringing? The dream of unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit, not guarantee of happiness, that brought our forefathers to these bountiful shores and generations to fight and die in their defense. This is the heart of the American dream. It is the dream of hope, empowerment, and control of our own persons and property, enforced by our recognition of our freedoms and liberties, endowed upon us by our Creator, not by man. Finally, it is the throwing off of the shackles of tyranny, whether it is imposed by a ruling class or by a political correctness of a corrupt society through manipulation. This is all part and whole of the American dream. What do you think?
I think
okay, Curtis.
That's better than that. Doesn't get any better than that, any well stated. You know, when I lived in Orlando, Florida, I used to watch the space shuttle take off from time to time, and it was very patriotic to watch the dreams of our scientists and engineers, come to fruition within that spaceship, that was going up. It was just so spiritual in a way. I mean, people would come out by the thousands on the highways. We would climb on top of buildings just to watch the space shuttle go up. But those days seem like they're gone, It's like we lost our identity. Now, I do know that they launched something yesterday that took off and landed again.
Project X. Project
Yeah.
X. It's a reusable rocket. This is their third try. The first two crashed and burned when they did it, but it succeeded in going straight up, and it then came down and landed vertically on a landing pad perfectly, which means that it can replace the space shuttle. I mean, it took the space shuttle out of service. It took the space shuttle out of service, but without putting anything in there, which is really stupid.
Because they don't have a vision, and our leaders or our leader hasn't given them a vision other than to make Muslims feel good.
Well, he did give NASA a vision. He told NASA that they are now a Muslim outreach group. Do you remember that? Does anyone remember that? He said, "Oh no, we want you to do a Muslim outreach." What the heck does Muslim outreach have to do with space exploration? Can anyone tell me that? Does it make sense to anyone out there? What does Islam have to do with the space program?
It's one engineering feat I'm still trying to figure out.
I mean, the radical jihadists are still living back in the 6th century. I mean, the bicycle wasn't even built yet, guys. They were lucky if they knew what the heck the wheel was.
The fact is, this president should have been saying something about Americans, not Muslims.
Yeah. The NASA program gave us so much good things in medicines, in technology, and we can, once again, take that glory from when we were young. I don't know if you were old enough, but watching the man land on the moon, the very first lunar landing. I mean, we were glued to our TV sets back in 1969. And it was only just a handful of years before that President Kennedy said, we will strive for the moon. And we've got the underground professor calling in. Let me bring him on live here, Curtis. And Professor, I was waiting for you to wake up.
I'm making way too much noise today to talk for very long, but what you don't understand about NASA and Muslim outreach is it has to do with actually the Nation of Islam and the big mother will that's behind the moon that's going to pick up all the black people at the end of the world.
Oh, you mean the Louis Farrakhan's dream?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I wish I could say I'm making another joke, but I'm being serious. They have a big mother will that is behind the moon, and it's going to pick up good little boys and girls that are black and part of the Nation of Islam.
And that's not racist, is it? No.
No. But the skunks, which are the white people in America, as he defines us, we're not going to be privy to it because no one wants to put a skunk in a spaceship. So I guess I can understand that. So that's the Muslim outreach.
Thank goodness he hasn't run for anything.
He should be running from stuff.
Well, I'm getting my leg pulled in the chat room, and I have to, give a shout out to someone. Moving says he's finally detecting some sort of a twang in the host. Y'all think so?
I try not to do that when I'm on the show, but the other day I talked to some kids and I said, Merry Christmas, y'all. They head spun around. What? Santa's a Texan? Yeah.
Oh, man. But unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to get our guest, Niger Innis, in, and he's going to be calling and crying on my shoulder, I know, a little bit later on, because he is in a meeting, unfortunately, and every time we try to get him, something comes up. So, Curtis, I think next time I'm going to have to send you my handcuffs, and you handcuff him next to you. How's that sound?
I'm going to have to.
I always thought you gave Curtis the handcuffs.
But we are waiting for Dave Bray to call in. I just sent him a text just now just to remind him to give us a shout in. So hopefully he'll be calling in a few minutes because he's got a Christmas song that came out last year, and I wanted to end the show with it. because he's doing such good work with his group Madison Rising. And I am going to have the chance to talk with him face-to-face next month at the South Carolina Tea Party Coalition Convention that, Curtis, you're going to up there with me to broadcast at.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, and we're going to have Ken McClinton with us. And I do believe Andrea Shea King will be with us also. So between the four of us, we should have one heck of a 2 days up there.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it, and I just hope the weather is decent.
Well, and the majority of it is inside, oh, that's right. You're not going to be staying at the hotel, but we'll let you crash in our room.
I have to let my aunt and uncle know that I'll be there that weekend.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun weekend. As far as I know, Trump is a definite up there. Santorum is going up there. I know Huckabee is going to be up there. Carly Fiorina is going to be up there, and I can guarantee Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio will be up there. I know that they were up there last year as well. Ted Cruz had his dad, Rafael Cruz, up there, and I felt so bad because Rafael promised to do an interview with me, and several times he started to come down to do the interview, and someone would grab him, and he'd make a hand signal to me, I'll be back. And the last day we were broadcasting, I had just finished breaking down all of the equipment and packing all up and away, and I was heading out the door to put everything in the car. And he came down, and he says, I'm ready for my interview. And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the one interview I really wanted to get with Rafael, because he is such a sweet man. And you can understand why Ted Cruz is such a nice guy, too, because the apple did not fall very far from the tree. And I don't know if Lindsey Graham committed. I don't recall seeing his name on the commitment list. But now, yeah, he's right, Vito, that now he can wait on tables. I mean, I cried so hard when Lindsey Graham dropped out. Oh, man, it broke my heart. Oh, jeez.
Who should be the next to go?
Oh, that I would say most likely would be Pataki.
Yeah, Pataki.
Yeah. Now, we had our friend Rodney Lee Conover, who's got his own show, Contending for Truth, here in Conover U on BTR, as well as being the producer of Michael Loftus's show, The Flip Side, as well as being a stand-up comedian and a writer. He was predicted that by Christmas, Trump will drop out and endorse Ted Cruz. Because you notice Trump is not really taking big chunks out of Ted Cruz yet. He's done that on everyone else, but not Ted Cruz yet. So this is going to be interesting.
I thought about that, but I wonder, with his ego, would he defer, at that point to Ted Cruz?
And it
seems has a big ego.
Mm-hmm. It seems it is Ted Cruz's birthday today, so Deb is going to sing happy birthday. So Deb would love to hear that. I think, maybe not. Oh man. Well, as you can hear, we're still waiting for our guests to call in, so we're just ad-libbing as we go along. It's funny because when Graham announced his thing, and I was jumping up and down for joy, a couple of people sent me a message, it's like, well, he was kind of strong on his attack on ISIS and the Muslim Brotherhood and stuff. And I went, are you frigging nuts? You have a very short memory. And they said, well, he's strong on defense, he's strong on this, he's strong. And I go, wait a minute, back up the truck here. Didn't he, along with John McCain and several other U.S. senators, sit down in the White House, our house, to break bread with Obama and the Muslim Brotherhood? Did they not all sit down and have a chat to see how they can work together better when the Muslim Brotherhood was still an outlawed party in Egypt? Didn't he and McCain then go to Egypt shortly after that and lecture the newly elected government in Egypt that just ousted the Muslim Brotherhood and just jailed a large number of their leadership for breaking the law, for murdering their citizens, for destroying the country? didn't he lecture the Egyptian government newly installed on how they should let these poor men out of jail and let them participate in government? Are you frigging kidding me? Lindsey Graham strong on Islamic terrorists? What were you smoking? Didn't he vote for Elena Kagan and Sotomayor to go into the U.S. Supreme Court? Which Lindsey Graham are you talking about? The one that said that you had to read Miranda rights to the Islamic warriors we take off the battlefield and put into Gitmo? You're talking about the same Lindsey Graham that is my U.S. senator, and you're saying he's a good senator? The closer you get to an election time, the closer you get to the election cycle when he's running for an office, the more conservative and pro-American security you hear Lindsey Graham. But the further you get away from that election, and he's now sitting comfortably in his office, sucking on the American's tit of the taxpayer, the less you hear Lindsey Graham be that conservative, the more you hear the rhino come out. So I am not sure which Lindsey Graham some of these people are talking about, but it's not the Lindsey Graham that is sitting there in the U.S. Senate that is my U.S. Senator and in my state here. Oh, come on.
Well, one of his biggest supporters was none other than John McCain. Other liberal rhino, rather.
That's because they're married.
I meant rhino.
Well, after my little rant, let me bring our guest on, who has been sitting there very quietly while I just went berserk over here. Area code 702, I do believe this is Niger Innes.
This is. Hello there, folks.
Well, welcome aboard, and you finally made it in.
I finally made it. I apologize for being so late, but I had to get to a location where I could talk to you, and you wouldn't be distracted with the noise.
Well, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Now I got to go back to the beginning of where I started my notes with you.
Well, I was enjoying. You can continue on. I was enjoying your tirade against the dropped out presidential candidate. About time that he dropped out.
Oh man, the only thing I was crying about, it took him so long to finally drop out.
Exactly. Oh, goodness. But no, it's a real pleasure to be with you on today. And let me just say, I know that there's so many patriots in particular that are in the service or were in the service for our country. And I think at this time of Christmas and holiday season, it's really important for us to remember those who are in the field making a sacrifice on behalf of promoting freedom and our freedoms here at home. So I want to thank you all for what you do, and because I know so many soldiers around the world representing the United States tune in and listen in.
As a matter of fact, we're going to have shortly after you Dave Bray of Madison Rising, and he's got an excellent song just about that. He came out with it last year, and I wanted to end, because it's our last show before Christmas, I wanted to end with that song. So, folks, stick around for that. But that's exactly what my whole point of this show is today, remembering what we stand for, remembering what America stands for, and remembering the men and women that are out there every single day defending our freedoms, and not just our military men and women, but also our first responders, because many a holiday I would be out there and I'm thinking, hey, I could be home sitting with my family, around the Christmas tree or dinner table, but I'm out here protecting and serving, and they are out there in foreign lands, so far away from their family. I got the chance after I did my tour of that day to get in my car, take off my uniform, and drive back home. They don't. They're there for months, and a few of them are there for years. We never say thank you enough. We really don't. We don't do enough for those men and women out there, and it's a shame. It's a fault of our nation.
And I'm hoping it's going to change with the turn of the page of administrations.
Oh, yes. A huge amen to that. I mean, once we get this administration out and we do not put a progressive back into office, hopefully not in my lifetime again, because I've never seen so much damage done to our nation. And
we're going to need, you're so right, we're going to need a generation. It's not just going to be 2 presidential terms. We're going to need a Reagan-like generational shift back to our values and away from progressivism that has been so destructive to our country.
Yeah, I think, as we were saying earlier, I think people are starting to finally catch on to the PC police. You know, when we had this attack in San Bernardino, I think it was the final straw that people are seeing the failure of our government and our government security agencies to protect us. And that's what we elect this administration for, to protect us, to take the interest of America first. But instead what we're seeing is the interest of everyone else is more important than the American citizen, than the American soldier, than the American veteran. It's everything else is more important than we the people.
Well, they use these agencies that are there to promote our values and freedom and to protect us. They use them as vehicles of experimentation for a quaint social liberal progressive experimentation, which is not what they're there for. Someone once said that you are in the military to break things, not to do a quaint liberal experiment. You know, so I agree with you. I think San Bernardino was a huge wake-up call to the country. I think what is just as horrific, though, and really frightening when you think of the state of the progressives these days, is that they would use that horrific killing spree and terrorist incident to try to oppress the Second Amendment rights of Americans, of decent Americans all across this country. You know, they will, and that's something that we should all remember. Progressives never stop. They can win an election, they can lose an election, they can get crushed in a landslide, and they will not stop. They do not stop. They take every opportunity to move the ball further down the field and to move their agenda further down the field. So we have to have that same type of commitment to our values and to moving the pendulum in the other direction. We cannot stop. Come November 2016, when we have victory, we should know that that's the beginning of the battle, not the end.
You know, that's the funny thing, because as conservatives, we do our fight and we turn around and say, all right, fine, we put the hands in secure, put the nation in hands of someone that's secure, someone like Reagan. And we think, all right, fine, we've put everything back in place, we've put it back to where it should be, and now we go home and go back to our nice, comfortable little lives, turn back on, American Survivor or whatever that TV show's name is, American Idol or whatever, and go back to our own, little corners, a nice little cozy niche. And then we forget that the progressives are still out there fighting. They're waiting for us to pack our bags and go back home, because that's when they come out in droves and say, they're not paying attention. They went silent again, that majority. And we forget
exactly
it.
Right. That's exactly right. So, again, and forgive me once again for being on late. I promise that early, if there's another show before the end of the year or early in 2016, I will be more than happy to come back and spend much more time with you guys. But I certainly do not want to cut your last person that is going to be interviewed and is going to give tribute to our brave men and women in uniform and our first responders all around the world.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that, because I was threatening to send Curtis my handcuffs and making sure the next time you come on, I was going to have him handcuff you to him, and that way the two of you.
Curtis is a dangerous man. I wouldn't want you to do that. So you've got my word. No handcuffs necessary.
All right.
Actually, I've had two friends once that said no one, especially a female, will ever handcuff me, and I ended up. One guy got handcuffed to a bar stool, and by the time he realized it, I was sitting at the opposite end of the bar just waving at him. I left him there.
Wow. Forget Curtis, you're a dangerous person. Well, Merry Christmas to you both. I enjoy our fellowship together whenever I come on the show, and I look forward to being on the show on a regular basis, with or without handcuffs.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that, and I'll be talking to you after the beginning of the year.
Excellent. Thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Niger. All right, Niger Innes, check out his website, which is, I have it sitting right in front of me. Well, it's on the show page. Just click on the Congress of Racial Equality, and you can get to Niger Innes. And I do believe this other caller, is our last guest, and area code 717. Is this my friend Dave Bray?
Yes, it is. How are y'all doing down there?
Doing just fine. Just fine.
Good,
and I'm looking
good.
forward to seeing you next month.
Okay, which show are you going to catch?
Well, no. You're going to be up in Myrtle Beach, and I will be sitting there on Radio Row.
Oh, excellent. Right
Ooh,
on. Very
I
cool,
broadcasted.
very cool. I look forward to seeing you as well.
Yeah, I broadcasted there live last year. We did 6 hours, and we had 24 interviews. And matter of fact, that first time I met you was the first time you were at the Tea Party Coalition convention.
That's right. Well, it's good to be back with you again.
It is absolutely. And I've been bragging about the song that you guys wrote last year and have out that honor our soldiers. And I was doing several different rants about how our government has let down the men and women currently serving as well as the veterans. And we have to turn around and take our government back and then do the honor we owe these men and women like you and like members of your group.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you know, one of the things that Madison Rising is absolutely known for is our support for our veterans, for our military. Of course, our song Soldiers Christmas, which is, if people want to check out the video, go to YouTube and check it out, or just look up Madison Rising on Facebook and page down through there. We've been posting the video up quite a few times this week, obviously, because Christmas is coming so close. But we wrote that song. We wrote it to, commemorate the men and women and to remember them, because the men and women that are serving overseas right now, whether, it doesn't matter how tough you are, at the end of the day, when Christmas Eve rolls around and either you're on watch or you're on post or you're on a parole or on a patrol, you are thinking about home. It's inevitable. There's no way to possibly deny it. You want to be there. You think about your friends, you think about your family, you flash back to when you were a kid, and it's just a time of year that it makes things very, very difficult, not just for the men and women serving overseas, just, in country as well, stateside, who just can't get home, maybe California to the East Coast or wherever. But we also wrote that song not just to say thank you to the men and women in uniform serving, but also as a tribute to our Gold Star families. When I wrote the song last year, I actually had made friends actually with a good friend of ours now. Her name's Karen Vaughn. She's a SEAL Team 6 Gold Star mom. Her son Aaron Vaughn was killed in Extortion 17, and she has dedicated, her and Billy Vaughn have dedicated their life's work to getting to the bottom of this, getting to the bottom of what our government is, rules of engagement, etc. For our Special Forces guys especially, but just for all the military. And they've done an amazing, amazing job, and life's work is just amazing. They've actually put together Operation 300 down in Florida for fallen men and women, soldiers, sons and daughters. It's a great camp for kids. And, it's just really incredible what certain people are doing. And we wrote that song, Soldiers Christmas, to honor and commemorate, the sacrifices that were made, not just obviously by our soldiers who are over there today, but for the Gold Star families, for the ones who their sons and daughters won't be joining them for Christmas. And we hope that it helps to heal. We hope that it helps bring them a little bit of peace to their families, especially in these tricky times.
Yeah.
Don't forget the CVA, Concerned Veterans for America work y'all are doing, you and Miss Vaughn. Yeah,
absolutely. That's where Karen and I met. Madison Rising joined teams with Concerned Veterans for America about 3.5-4 years ago, I think. Now this will be our fourth year, I believe. We picked up with the tail end of them in 2012. So 2016 is going to be our fourth year with Concerned Veterans for America, CVA. Amazing organization. You say about what can we do for our veterans? What can I do as a citizen, or what can I do as a past serviceman or woman? What can we do to support our vets? And that's where Concerned Veterans for America comes in. They come in swinging. They push in legislation down in D.C. One of the most recent ones they got passed was the choice benefit, which enables veterans around the country to choose a provider that's close to them. A lot of these times, a lot of VA hospitals are 2, 4, 6 hours away, and these guys can't even get there for an appointment, let alone be seen on a clinical basis where they need to be seen as much as sometimes 2 and 3 times a week. So CVA pushed for the choice program, which enables veterans to be able to choose a provider, and the providers are now open to it, and it's really becoming a major movement, and it's pretty amazing to see that organizations like CVA, Concerned Veterans for America, Madison Rising, a rock band for crying out loud, and patriots across the country can help make a change in this country for our veterans, and not just for our veterans, because the country that does right for our veterans does right by its citizens. So if we keep track of what's happening with our vets, the citizens will also fall into place, and that's a good thing to have.
Yeah, that is a very good thing. And, I've been working with, in the past, I worked with the Healing Heroes, which was part of the Independence Fund. And I see now that they're breaking into new groups all across the United States. There's so many wonderful, wonderful groups put together by citizens and veterans to help the fellow veterans. And it's amazing what we as Americans can do. And there's no country with a heart as big as the citizens of this nation. And the fact that our government is letting you guys down is just despicable. And I can't talk out enough about it. And I'm glad to see that finally Congress is now passing laws to help you guys. And we recently lost a friend of ours, Sergeant Dave Davis, who was denied care for his cancer, a Vietnam veteran that just passed away just a month and a half ago. I've had personal friends that have died because the VA has denied them care. And have you heard very many of our presidential candidates talking about them? The only ones I really hear talking about is Carly Fiorina and Ted Cruz. They're talking about everything else, but what our deep cause is the American people and the men and women defending us.
Well, I mean, failed leadership has been the problem with D.C. for eons. Too many politicians, not enough leaders. We got way too much legislation in this country happening in the wrong direction and against freedom instead of for it in the Constitution. So, I got to stand firm and say that it's really, really hard for me to look at the political race right now and the political sort of atmosphere and weather and say, hey, this is the person, we need to get behind him. It's just so difficult because there's so many agendas on each side, and now there's more. I don't want politics as much as I don't want politicians in politics. I also don't want entertainers in Washington. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So I mean, I love Trump. I love what he's saying, but I just don't know what he can really, really do, and that scares me. If you start going down through the list, there's border issues with Rubio. There's all kinds of issues across the board and agendas that are being pushed, and it's just, I guess I don't know if I'm just fatigued, if I have politics and policy fatigue right now. But I want somebody, I want an Allen West. I want somebody who's going to go up there, crack some skulls, who knows how to lead men. We're a country at war for 13, 14 years now. We're a country at war. We need a commander-in-chief. We need somebody who knows how to run not just a business, not just a military, but that can comprise it all together. And I wish to God that shining light was there, but I just don't. I'll be honest, I don't see it. And I'm just hoping, as time marches on here, that a certain candidate is going to start hitting the right issues, the right topics, and putting the right things out there for us to focus on instead of the negative and the typical sort of, I guess you can call it, entertainment politics that have become very, very commonplace in America today. Which, we already have one actor who's pretending to be president in White House right now. I don't want another one.
That was well said. And again, he's on vacation again, guys, on your tax dollar. Oh, man. But, the work you do with Madison Rising is so uplifting. You give so much joy and pleasure and hope to men and women out there and to the American public. It's great to see someone saying, America is good, America can be even better, and then you fight for it. You recently had a major tour you just did, and of course the name of the tour just went out of my mind. I can see the logo. Oh, shoot.
We did the Defend Freedom tour with Concerned Veterans for America last year. We also hit up Japan. We did Camp Fuji, Okinawa, Camp Hansen. We did Camp Mujuk in South Korea and overseas this year. We've been doing a ton of really, really strong work with all different kinds of organizations, Valkyrie Initiative. We've also done work with the Young Marines this year. Amazing organization, the Young Marine Program. It's a national youth organization. And what they've done is it started in the 50s, it's been around forever. But what they've done is they actually took all the great elements of the Boy Scouts, all the great elements of the Girl Scouts, and all the great elements of ROTC, and they put them all together. And it really focuses on some of the major virtues that kids need these days: honor, discipline, leadership, And what they've done is they've taken some of the discipline out of the military, and then they've taken a lot of the life skills that you get from the Boy Scouts, and then they make it both genders, so it's either one. So you can be a young man or a young woman between the ages of 8 and 18, and you can get involved with the Young Marine program. I can't say enough about it. They come out and they do our color guard for us at a bunch of our events throughout the year, and every time I shake one of these Young Marines' hands, whether they're a Lance Corporal and seriously just 8 years old, or whether they're 18 years old and they're finishing up the program, these are the future of America, and I don't say that lightly. These are going to be the leaders that you see stepping out into the forefront. These are the guys that can still look somebody in the eye, carry on a decent conversation, be polite, be respectful, and you don't find that in a lot of youth today. And when you see it coming from an 8-year-old kid who's standing there waiting to help you or waiting to make sure that you get whatever you need out of whether that's at an event or they're doing the color guard with honor and respect, and they understand what the colors mean and they understand what the flag stands for. It's just it says a lot for the program. So I can't say enough about Young Marines. They've done a lot to help us out. If anybody's out there who wants to get involved with the program, just obviously youngmarines.com, you can check it out and find a unit near you, and hopefully you can turn maybe a troubled early teen around or someone who needs a little discipline. Maybe sports hasn't worked out for them. This is a great organization, great group of kids, and they're very open. And it's just amazing. I can't say enough about the Young Marine program. It's one of my favorite things when we show up to a show is to meet the Young Marines, shake their hands, and tell them we appreciate them and what they do. And as far as the youth goes, they are truly setting a precedent as to what standard and what level they are operating at. I mean, they're earning college credits while they're in the Young Marines. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. I just want to let everyone know I just extended the show for a few minutes so we can get Dave Bray's interview in and play his song.
Cool.
But I also want to let you know that we have a friend of ours, Rodney Lee Conover. He's the producer of The Flip Side with Michael Loftus, and he was on the show, and he extended an invitation to you and your band. He has a full recording studio out, I believe it's in California, and he's offering it up for you to use for your next video for free.
Oh, wow. That's excellent, Michael. Well, thank you very much, sir.
I'll
have to
I'll put you in contact with him.
Yeah, we'll get the contact.
And I'll give you the information and everything, because I told him about your video for the soldier, and he said, oh, wow, I love that stuff, and just make sure you give him my information and tell him he can use the studio anytime free.
Wow. Well, that says a lot about him and what he stands for, doesn't it?
And that
Michael Conover is his name? Thank you very much.
No, Rodney Lee Conover.
Rodney Conover.
And I'll like I said, I'll text you his information, and that way the two can get together.
Please do. We'd love to. We'd love to work with people who stand firm and true in what they believe. That's awesome. So, again, if you want to talk about Soldier's Christmas or you want to talk about the record, what do you want to talk about next year? Talk to me. You let me know.
Actually, what I should do is that I had a contest for someone to win your Madison Rising Red CD. The latest, I believe that's the latest one now, right?
Yep, the RED, Remember Everyone Deployed CD. Yep, excellent CD.
Well, the person never got back in contact with me, so I never got an address to mail the CD. And I told him, respond to me by Halloween, and he hasn't. So therefore, to a listener today, if you can post, let me see. Well, how should I do this so I can give this one away here today, Dave? What's your suggestion?
Geez, I don't know. I don't know where you're. Do you have direct contact with anybody right now? Then call in, or is there a way to?
They could.
Do you have a chat line or anything going?
I've got a chat room open.
You got a chat room open? Anybody in there?
I got a bunch of people in there.
Okay. Well, I say we'll do a trivia.
Okay. And let's
chat
give
room
them a
trivia.
question.
Here we go.
Okay.
In the song, you ready?
Yep.
In the song, 12 Days of Christmas.
Mhm.
What are the 11th day of Christmas? What number of what are there on the 11th day of Christmas? First person to answer, 11 whatting on the 11 days of Christmas. In the song 12 Days of Christmas, 11 what?
Okay, so I just posted a question up in the chat room. So the first person that can answer that, and if you have to forgive my misspelling.
Do we have anybody answering?
Professor, what was the answer?
Swans?
No, it's not the Swans. I'm sorry. I am sorry, sir. Sorry.
All right.
Next caller, please.
I was going to go with hamburgers.
All right.
11 cheeseburgers.
We've got Deb in the chat room said maids a milking.
No, not maids of milking. No.
All right. Sasquatch, who's also known as Bigfoot, said Lords of Leaping.
No, I think it's 8 Lords of Leaping, but no, you're close.
Okay.
It is it is of the male variety. It's a tricky one, tricky question. I guess you could ask Siri maybe. She might be able to help you.
Come on, someone, you got to get me out there, and you've got to have this answer. And we do have people also listening in on the phone. So come on, guys.
Okay.
What is in the song 12 Days of Christmas? All right, who's that? I had another voice.
You got anybody with the answer?
Curtis, you said Piper?
Is it Piper?
Yes, it is Piper's Piping. 11, two pipes. The number 11 or 2 pipes piping. There you go, winner.
I'm trying to hold off to give people in the chat room a chance, but nobody can.
That's all right. You win.
Right.
Give it to him. Give it to him.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, dear. I appreciate it.
All right, and now let me get your song keyed up. We've got your song, which is The Soldier's Christmas. And as you said, you wrote this last year to honor the men and women out there serving that don't make it home. Whether or not
we're thinking about them. That's right. We're thinking about we're thinking about the men and women serving overseas today, or who can't make it home for Christmas. And this is, this also goes for fire, police, first responders. A lot of these guys are sitting in firehouses on Christmas Day, or they're on standby, or they're on watch, or they're on call. These people, nurses, doctors, they don't get days off. People think, okay, Christmas, I'm good. That is not the way it works for the rest of the world. Emergencies still happen. We still need our people. We still need our military in place. And that's what Who's This Song is for. Those people who are still in service to the rest of the civilization and the civilized world of America, we say thank you. And to those who have given their lives for that service, we also say thank you and God bless you. And we pray for your families and for your peace. And especially in this holiday times, it's got to be difficult. It's got to be tough. But we hope this song, Soldier's Christmas, will help the families and also the men and women serving today and Christmas Day to heal a little bit. So enjoy.
And people can download this from your website, and it's also on your latest CD release so that they can buy the CD and enjoy it and play it for their Christmas Day. So this is Dave Bray's band, Madison Rising, Soldier's Christmas. And let me get it keyed up.
Can I say one more thing?
What's it then? There we go. Go ahead.
I just want to say one more thing. I have to give a shout out to Minus Red. They put together this video for us, and they didn't charge us a dime. They helped. We had help come from the church and the community to come together to make this video happen. If people have not seen this video, she's a tearjerker, but she is amazing. It's one of the most amazing videos that Madison Rising has ever done. Through Minus Red and Jim Hammond. I can't say enough. Thank you so very much. Merry Christmas to you guys up there in Rhode Island. God bless you. Be well. Thank you for the video, and thank you for all that you do for our patriots, for our men and women in uniform, and for our veterans. So enjoy the song. This one's called Soldier's Christmas.
Well, thank you so much, Dave Bray, for joining us. And as I said, I'll be seeing you next month, and I'll also get you Rodney Lee's information over to you.
Okay, please do. Text it to me right away. Thank you very much. God bless. Be well. Merry Christmas, you guys.
Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. And here we go,
Absolutely.
Dave Bray.
Happy Hanukkah.
Soldier's Christmas, Madison Rising.
Leaves have all fallen back home where I'm from. Thanksgiving's come. Thanksgiving's gone and my family tells stories round their Christmas tree in the warm living room on Christmas Eve. And the candlelight shimmers right down the song. Place far away, family and home as the pen hits the paper. Shadows grow long, but I stay here a soldier, just me and my gun on this Christmas. Leaves are all falling back home where I'm from. Thanksgiving's come, Thanksgiving's gone, but I stay in the fight. I'll soldier on for the ones who will never come home.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and to all a good night. And I will see you next year. The next few shows will be pre-recorded. Have a very safe, merry, and healthy Christmas holiday. Until then, good night, and God bless.